Welcome back, Truth Seeker. It is Sunday, October 26, 2025. And my daughter, she makes me laugh because I don't know how she knows when I go live, but she is about to come knock on this door right now. Let me just open the thing so she can come in here. I don't know how you do it every time. I don't know how you do it every time. She hasn't, I've been in here for 2 hours working, and she hasn't come in here the whole time. As soon as I start, she's here. Hey, you. What do you got? You got a big thing of plastic? You want to come say hi to the people? Come here. Come here, sweetie pie. Her timing is impeccable. But anyway, last night I watched this movie, Weapons, and I really hate the way that Hollywood mocks us. And again, you watch the reviews for this movie. People say it was a commentary on what's going on in society. I think it's more of a documentary about what's going on in society. If you've watched any of these school shooters in the courtroom, they just look like they're not even there. I mean, and if you've seen this movie, Weapons, just here, spoilers, I'm going to ruin the movie. What happens in Weapons is a witch casts a spell on all kinds of people: the school principal, police officer, a drug addict, 17 children in a classroom, a family, and they become her puppets. She has total control over them, and she uses them as weapons to do her bidding and harm others. And it doesn't really ever, unless I missed it, it doesn't really show what her purpose is, other than she's essentially a wicked witch who just wants to control and have influence over others. But it's just the look of the characters when they're under the spell. I'm telling you, if you've watched any of these, oh, sweetie pie. Oh, sweetie pie. Can Daddy do this real quick? What do we need? We need something to play with. Coaster? Is that she's looking at the coaster like, that is not good enough. Sweetie, well, we just got to finish up here, okay? And then I'll come spend the rest of the day with you. Oh, my. Oh, no, you want back up? Okay. Anyway. All right, let's go through this quickly. So this movie released on August 8th, and I'm going to get to how perfectly, seemingly coordinated this was with the big school shooting. Hold on, stay right there. I'll be done in 10 minutes. Okay. Shortly after this movie came out, and by the way, there's no actual school shooting in this movie, but it alludes to a school shooting, and I'll talk about exactly what they did and how it took me right back to where my research began when I first started doing this in 2013. But again, you had the Minnesota Catholic Annunciation School shooting shortly after this, and you might recall that when the Annunciation School happened, and by the way, that's still in the headlines, they're saying one of the kids who got shot and the victims out of the hospital just a couple days ago. But you might recall how all the headlines initially said 2 dead, 17 injured. The Minnesota Catholic School shooting that happened August 27th, 19 days after this movie came out, 19 days. The 2 dead, 17 injured will stand out if you watch the movie, because the story is that all the children, all 17 children who are under the witch's spell, they ran out of their homes at 2:17 a.m., all at the same time. And, you know, there's a scene in the film where the father, one of the fathers, played by the actor, what's his name, Josh Brolin. I think he's got another brother that's an actor in Hollywood, too. There might be a Matt Brolin. It's one of the Brolin brothers. He's in a lot of films. You'd recognize him. But there's a scene where he's dreaming about his child, wondering where his child went off to. And in his dream, he sees a gun over a house. And then they light up the number 217 over the gun. And then he walks into the house where the gun is. Because he's imagining what might have happened to his child. Because nobody knows. All their children just disappeared in the middle of the night. That's the mystery until you figure out what's going on. But he walks into the house in his dream. Again, with the gun above it. With the 217 on the gun. And he finds his child sleeping in a bed. And his child's dressed in a Batman jacket. And you guys might recall, if you've been here since the beginning, when SH happened in Newtown, Connecticut, the one with the smiling, laughing Robbie Parker, and Dr. H. Wayne Carver, who was giggling about the kids that he supposedly carved up at the autopsy. You might recall that what was real curious about that is there were two major shootings that year. The first one was at the Batman movie premiere in Aurora, Colorado. And then the next one was what happened in Newtown, Connecticut at SH. And the thing that we pointed out is that year, the Batman movie released a map for the film that you could buy of Gotham City. And Gotham City, this map isn't new. It's existed since Batman came out, a long, long time ago. And did Batman come out like in the 30s? I mean, Batman's been out for a long time. But this map's always existed, and there's a neighborhood in Gotham City for Batman that's called South Hinckley. Well, for the 2012 film release with the new map released, they changed the name of South Hinckley. They changed it to something else that equaled SH. They changed it to Sandy Hook. And you can still buy the map. You can still look up the map. It's a fact. So, and remember, at the beginning of that Batman film, when the camera's panning through Gotham City, they have a big orange sign that says Aurora. So you get the Aurora shooting at the theater premiere, July 20th, 2012. And then you get SH later that year. And remember, July 20th is typically the 201st day of the year. And SH was compared to what happened in Dune Blaine, which got gun rights taken away in the UK. And from Dune Blaine massacre of first graders to SH massacre of first graders was 201 months later. And if you're new here, 201 is a very special number to this whole occult thing and the Jesuits and the Illuminati. And again, the Illuminati was founded by a Jesuit, Adam Weishaupt, who died 201 days after the anniversary of the Illuminati's establishment. But yeah, after SH happened, there were a bunch of school shootings that got way less attention, but they kept putting in Batman. They showed a little boy who was shot, and he was like the death in one of the stories, and the mom was in the news, and she said she wanted her son buried in his Batman costume. This wasn't long after SH, and we're like, I mean, come on. The kid who got killed, I want to say his name was Lil Jakey or something. I go back, I got all these old notes on things I've been covering over the years. But then shortly after that, there was a shooting. I remember that one was in New Mexico, and the substitute teacher was the hero, and they said he was wearing a Batman costume. I was like, come on, you guys. After what we were just talking about, now we got these shootings in the news, and it's Batman and Batman again. So now in this movie, the one scene where they connect mass shootings with kids in school, they got to show the dream and the kid dressed up in a Batman jacket. And remember, the thing about Batman is you got to go back and watch the Batman TV series, the 33rd episode of the original Batman series. There's the dialogue about how Batman's grandfather, Bruce Wayne's grandfather, founded Skull and Bones at Yale, which, of course, is just down the street from where Newtown, Connecticut is. And Skull and Bones equals 201 as well, and it's modeled after the Bavarian Illuminati. And don't forget the movie The Skulls about Skull and Bones starring Paul Walker came out 201 days after his birthday, and that was right before George W. Bush won the election. And then eventually Paul Walker dies in a weird way in a red Porsche on November 30th, 5 years to the day of Papa Bush dying on the same day. Again, if you haven't seen The Skulls with Paul Walker, who died in that mysterious car crash, he gets a red Porsche from the Skull and Bones fraternity in the movie, only to die in a red Porsche. And you guys, I still remember this kid that I went to high school with. For people who don't know my story, when I first started sharing this work in 2013, I only shared it on my Facebook page. This is the first place I shared this work online. And like I said, I mean, almost everyone thought I was a lunatic, but this one kid, he just thought it was so dumb that and I was like, I don't know how you can think this is so dumb. I was pointing out all this stuff about Paul Walker and realized his dad Papa Bush hadn't died 5 years to the day later. But don't forget who told you way before Papa Bush died on that day that he was not going to live past that day and why he was going to die at 94 and he might very well pass on November 30th, 2018. I put out that information the day John McCain died. Anyway, again, 11 plus 30, 41. Skull and Bones, 41, like he was number 41. And then the 94 thing goes with the whole history of Skull and Bones and the Templars and ossuaries. It's a lot to explain. But anyway, no, this kid that I went to high school with, and helped out, and I helped him academically. I helped him lose weight. He was going online like Zach, you sound like such a lunatic. You really think Paul Walker had something to do with the movie? I was just like, what's wrong with these people? You don't find it weird? You don't find it weird that he got a red Porsche in this movie about this secret society that's powerful and large and in charge and connected to death, and he dies in a red Porsche? It's so weird how people just like get so violently opposed to what seems like it's super obvious. But yeah, again, I was in the early days of understanding this gematria thing, and as soon as I looked into it, I started to see, I was like, God, they're doing the sports games this way, the movies this way, the music this way, the news this way, the elections this way. I don't know what's so hard to catch on to. Weapons about the occult and spell casting to turn people into weapons comes out on 8/8, and in gematria, occult and weapon equal 88. There's some other words I could add to that list, but then the ADL would hate it. Again, it's referred to as blood magic in the film, which we're going to come back to, because again, we're going to connect this to the Minnesota church shooting. You're going to see it was a Minnesota church and school shooting, predominantly the school. But you're going to see just how connected this movie is to what they did in Minnesota days later, because it goes beyond just the 217 thing. The plot of the movie being at 2:17 a.m., all the initial Minnesota headlines, 2 dead, 17 injured. And yes, I do know that the numbers changed after, but there's a reason that they did this whole 217 thing initially for a long time. And notice how August 8th, the day that weapons came out, it's the day leaving 145 days left in the year. And Catholic equals 145. Catholic, 145. Ends up being a Catholic school shooting, right? And think about, they kind of do connect Hollywood, the Catholic Church, to the occult, because they're the ones that are doing exorcisms. And, you got all the Exorcist movies set at Jesuit Georgetown. And remember, the Jesuit suppression happened on a 2/17 date. It happened on the 21st day of the 7th month, 217. Don't forget the phrase, the Whore of Babylon equals 217, which is what Protestants associate with the Catholic Church. But also, weapons, the plural, has 93 gematria, like Minneapolis, Minnesota, which is the city on the 93rd meridian. A lot of 93 rituals in Minneapolis. Your basketball team, Minnesota Timberwolves, another big fat 93. One of the most famous occultists who was in this whole gematria study, the practice of coding numbers into words. Again, this is based in Kabbalah. That's where this gematria thing comes from. But Aleister Crowley, he worshipped the number 93. Just for the record, Minneapolis is also on the 44th parallel north. Dark occult magic, often spelled MAGICK. Magic has that 44 connection, like shooting, like kill, like execution, like mass shooter, like gunfire, like Wednesday. Again, there's one day of the week that equals 44. It's Wednesday. Charlie Kirk got it in a 44 ritual on 44 date numerology. Same with the Minnesota school shooting. It was on a 44 date numerology on a Wednesday. We'll come back and look at these older posts too and tie in a few things. But notice blood magic, which is also referred to, the witch has to use her own blood with the belongings and hair of other people to make the ritual happen. But blood magic has that 54 connection, and I guess, in case you forgot, the Annunciation school shooting, a lot of 54 in it. The school's on 54th Street. The head of the police was the 54th chief of police for Minneapolis, and he was installed on the day leaving 54 days left in the year. Again, it was the Annunciation School. Annunciation has the 54 connection, like Jesuit order. They're both 72 in reverse. And the school's at 54th Street in Garfield, and Garfield was assassinated on July 2nd, 7/2, which is America's real Independence Day. Again, for everyone who doesn't know that, it is America's real Independence Day, July 2nd. It's the day that independence was declared. The problem is in gematria, Independence Day equals 74, so you can understand why when everything's done this way, which it is, why Independence Day was moved to July 4th rather than the day it was actually declared. And in light of the Jesuits being here from the beginning, it's probably not an accident that it was declared on 7/2. But yeah, 54th Chief of Police installed on the day, leaving 54 days left in the year. They said the ATF was on the scene, another 54. And don't forget, it was 144 days after Tim Walls' age, the other Jesuit order number, and his mansion's across the street from the Jesuit Recruiting Center for the entire Midwest region of the United States. There's a lot of things here. hold on. There were more 54s in this, but yeah, school's on 54th and Garfield. You know, and the other thing that's interesting is all the bricks in this building. Of course, a lot of old architecture is bricks, and it makes you think of Masons. And if you see the film Weapons, where all the children were spellcast and sent to, it's a house with a whole lot of bricks on it as well. And maybe even at a quick nod, this building actually kind of looks a lot like that house in that movie. But hold on, the head of the Catholic Church for Minneapolis, Bernard Anthony Hebda. I just want you to see this as well. Oh yeah, and I forgot. The shooter's name was Robin Westman. They ended up giving you more details. The shooter's name fit the same pattern. Robin Westman, 5472. Also the 153, like Jesuit order. And just to bring it back to Robin Westman, you see the 171. That's the 18th triangular number. The Jesuit logo has the letters IHS in it, which is 18 forwards and backwards. And that logo's inside the sun, which is also 18, as well as 54. Again, this all goes back to sun worship, where the Catholic Church began. But Bernard Anthony Hebda, the head of the church in Minneapolis, has a 9/3 birthday. The shooting happened on his 359th day of his age, the 72nd prime. And, I mean, just on Garfield Street, who was shot in history on 7/2. Again, the sun, which equals 54, has a 72-year... Well, the zodiac has a 72-year cycle, which is in accordance with the sun. The sun moves 1 degree on the astrological wheel every 72 years. And if you look up the shooter, this certificate shows that he was born on June 17th, meaning the shooting was 72 days after his birthday. In light of this witchcraft thing, one of the most famous texts associated with witchcraft is the Goetia, which has 72 demons in it, just like there's 72 names of God in Kabbalah, and we're talking about the Jesuits, the Society of Jesus, where in the Bible, Jesus sends out 72 disciples. Again, the sun is said to be 93 million miles away on average, in light of all this coming back to the sun. They say Jesus was crucified on the 93rd day of the year, April 3rd. Jesus performs 33 miracles. We'll come back to that in a minute, because some people think Jesus was actually a magician. A lot of people get offended by that, but we'll come back to that. Jesus supposedly crucified at 33. Kash Patel, his headline at the time was calling the shooting barbaric. They just had to code another 54 on it. And again, blood magic's 54, and some barbaric things happen in the movie Weapons. See the scene where the principal gets put under the spell. He kills his gay lover in a very barbaric fashion. And it was funny because he had the common sense to keep the witch out, but his gay lover thought he was being ridiculous and brought him in the house. Reminder that sometimes you got to trust those spidey senses, because the woman did seem quite odd. But yeah, just about this whole blood magic thing being the theme of the movie. Annunciation, the name of the school. The 2 dead, 17 injured initially, going with 217 in the movie. Annunciation equals blood magic, 189. Again, if you're new here, these are the 4 base ciphers of the English language. With the alphabetic order, blood magic's 81. With the alphabetic order and numerology, blood magic's 45. With the reverse alphabetic order, it's 189. With the reverse alphabetic order and numerology, it's 54. We just talked about all the 54s in this shooting. And now look at where these numbers tie in with the school. Annunciation School, 81, like blood magic. Ritual, 81. And for the record, you see how blood magic's 8145? So is ritual, 8145. You know, it's like President Donald Trump, or it's President Trump, who's Jesuit educated, becoming number 45 on the anniversary of the fall of the Berlin Wall. And don't overlook the 72 either. So Trump running on the highest degree of the Church of Satan mega. And again, Obama told the joke on the 45th birthday of the Church of Satan at the White House Correspondents' Dinner, April 30th, 2011, that Trump would be number 45, which was also 45 days before Trump's birthday. But anyway, coming back to this, 2:17 a.m. in the movie, when it all goes down, that's the 137th minute of the day. That's the 33rd prime number, Magic 33. Number that we see all the time in these mass shooting stories. 33 over and over again. And like I said, you're watching a movie about how a witch casts spells over people and seems to control their minds. I felt that the people in the United States are under some kind of mind control because they can't see through the obvious bullshit that they're spoon fed every day. Bullshit news, bullshit elections, bullshit politicians, bullshit sports games, same ritualistic numbers day after day. You see a society of people that have the same program responses, like, almost like a bunch of robots, like they're all under the same witch's spell. Your religion that so many of you guys just can't see through, that's so transparent, full of 33, full of a lot of the numbers that we talked about in here. Again, Horror Babylon 217. The church, the Catholic Church, again, Catholic alone 145. Weapons comes out on the day, leaving 145 days left in the year. Then the Catholic school shooting with the same numbers. Notice from the Jesuit suppression anniversary to the shooting was 37 days. Again, it happened on a Wednesday. Shooting Wednesday, have that same gematria. So does Maybrook. And if you're asking what Maybrook is, it's the name of the town and the school in the movie Weapons. Maybrook. And then about 19 days later, again, the movie came out August 8th. The shooting happened 19 days later. We talk about this all the time, too. Chaos 19. Remember in Uvalde, it was so full of 19s. 19 children. Initially, the cops stood in the hall for 19 minutes. Again, we see that 19 number a lot as well. And by the way, here's another 19 that fits right in with the whole magic thing. Spell. Spell 19. Spell and chaos are the same forwards and backwards, which is kind of interesting. So 19 days later, similar story with similar numbers in the news. And the official title of the magic that she uses, it's referred to as blood magic, but it's also called sympathetic magic. I actually want to go back and watch the movie one more time because she uses some strange phrase when she talks to the school principal, and the school principal is like, I never heard those words put together before. I bet there's something to that scene. I was watching this late at night, and I was halfway tired, but I'm going to go back and check that part out, too, and see exactly what she said again. But I noticed that sympathetic magic equals 172, just like the Jesuit motto in Merum de Gloriam. And again, you can read old warnings about the Jesuits. People say the Jesuit priests, when they were doing the most sinister things for the sake of the church, they would often say that phrase. Kind of just like how the news media is programmed into your head, these Muslim, radical Muslim Islam, or what do they say, radical Islamists, how they'll say, Allahu Akbar, when they, stab somebody or shoot somebody or, blow themselves up, which means, essentially for God. And Merum de Gloriam means for the greater glory of God. So, sympathetic magic is the true title of what the witch is doing in Weapons. And I thought, because we already broke down the Minnesota thing, saying how this just had all the Jesuit fingerprints all over it. But I was not, and I'm thinking back, though, I think somebody did call in or left a comment about how I need to see Weapons in light of what they did with Minnesota, and now I see why. It's like, yeah, absolutely. Person was 1,000,000% correct. I mean, what could be more obvious? And if you see the movie, you'll see. I mean, you'll see the scene where he has the dream and they do the Batman thing again. Let me see. Mass shooting victim. I want to say his name was Lil Jakey. Buried in Batman costume. Let me see if I can pull up these stories. The victim of a 2016 school shooting who was buried in a Batman costume was 6-year-old Jacob Hall. And about just the whole 33 thing. I mean, Hall's one of those 33 words. Jacob Hall. He's got 64 and 28 like kill, but... And, hold on. Substitute teacher, Batman costume, New Mexico. Mass shooting. No, this was a story. This was a story. Let me lose the substitute. Maybe I'm mistaking the substitute part. No, teacher, Batman, New Mexico school. Let me see. Was this it? Let me see if it's still up on my old site. The problem is Google took down a lot of posts. Batman costume. This is the little Jacob one. And there's other things I'm forgetting too. Shoot. At the time, they even had an image of the teacher in his Batman costume. I'm gonna have to go back and find it later. It's definitely out there. All right. But yeah, I got to keep this one short and sweet. Get back to the fam. Again, thanks to everyone who hits the like and the share. Shout out to the super chatter. I appreciate that. Quentin with the big 20 Canadian. Thank you so much. And yeah, again, people's perspectives are backwards. And it's amazing people don't understand predictive programming and that Hollywood's forecasting what we come in the news, almost like putting the idea in your mind so you're ready for it. I mean, there's just so many examples. But yeah, you just read all the reviews and it's like, oh yeah, these person's just trying to have a commentary on what's going on in society with. It's like, no, this is a movie where Hollywood's putting it in your face that, you know, MK Ultra and all these things about controlling other people, they are real things. It might not be exactly like how it is in Weapons, where, you know, when they get taken over by the witch, they all move the exact same way, but again, if you watch this movie, just look at the facial expressions of the victims, and then next time they show you one of these kids that's supposedly a mass shooter in the courtroom, just look at their face and their mannerisms and their body. It's like identical. It's like identical. So. And don't forget with the whole Uvalde thing and the Monarch butterfly, because remember, MK Ultra stands for Monarch Mind Control. They kept showing that monarch butterfly everywhere. And let me see if I got it all in this post. Maya Cirillo was the girl who supposedly covered herself in blood, and they kept showing her in front of the monarch butterfly. And let me see, is this the... Oh, yeah, that's right. Matthew McConaughey's from that town, and he went to the White House with the green sneakers in a 201 ritual, but it was 201 days after McConaughey's birthday. The school's motto, "Together we rise," equals the Jesuit order forwards and backwards. Rob Elementary was the name of the school. Rob's 19, like chaos, like spell. 19 officers stood down in the hall for 19 minutes. 19 children. Again, from Weapons to the Catholic thing, 19 days later. Let me pull up the green Converse thing. McConaughey went to the White House in full actor mode. I do like him as Buster Moon in Sing, though. Actually, I kind of do like Matthew McConaughey as an actor, but hold on. His green Converse ritual. When he spoke at the White House, it was 150 days before his birthday. When the shooting happened, it was 201 days after his birthday. And keep in mind, the shooting happened on the 144th day of the year. Again, Jesuit order alone's 144, just like when it happened in Minnesota, it was 144 days from the governor's birthday, whose office, his mansion is right across the street from the Jesuit recruiting center. And the Jesuits and the Illuminati go hand in hand. But yeah, look how perfect that is. McConaughey holds up the green Converse. It's another acting role. It's another acting role here. Don't forget how they synced up Joe Biden going down to Texas on JFK's birthday anniversary, May 29th, 5 days after the shooting, and his speech that he gave as the finals was tipping off with the green Boston team. going down to the Warriors. That year, it was Boston's 22nd NBA Finals in 22. Boston 22. They fell to 17-5 in the finals. Golden State won 75. And again, we saw that the finals were pretty much set on the Pope's birthday that year. Pope Francis. I don't want to go. I've covered it a million times, but Warriors beat Boston on the Pope's birthday. And yeah, there was a lot to it by the numbers. But yeah, just rigged sports, rigged news, rigged elections, puppets all over. For all you guys who think it's just the universe, again, Hollywood's trying to show you it's not just the universe. It is the occult. And they're doing some major league manipulating. And keep in mind, one other thing about the film is, the witch can't do the spell without her dark-looking magical tree. It's a dark tree, right, with like almost black wood. And remember, the dark half of Kabbalah, the dark side of the tree of life is the Qliphoth, which has the 666 connection. And I always thought it was so interesting when I learned gematria, because I was like, why is tree and evil? Like, why? Why is it a perfect overlap? For you guys who don't know these perfect overlap words, and notice Donald Trump's got that connection too, right? Because Donald Trump is 48 and 60, and we all know what he did to his ex-wife for the 60th election. But when I first saw that, I was like, why in the hell would they make evil and tree the same? And I was like, oh, there's the evil half of the tree of life from Kabbalah, which is where this whole thing of letters and numbers comes from. And just these other words that got the perfect overlap: broom, witch. You associate brooms with witches. Broom and witch, exactly the same. And there's that 72, right? If you haven't seen the film, the woman who gets blamed for what's going on, who's not actually to blame, but who wants to figure out what happened, she was the teacher in the classroom where the tragedy occurred. People think she's the witch, but she's not. They paint witch on her car, so the whole movie you see her driving around with her car with witch on the side. But notice how witch and broom are 72, because 72 was all over the Annunciation School shooting. I almost forgot that part. That was almost a major oversight. Annunciation. Robin Westman. And doesn't Robin go with Batman? Batman and Robin? And they said that they were trans, right? Because the actual name was Robert Westman, which is 56 and 79, like Society of Jesus. So one way his name's just like Jesuit Order, the other it's just like Society of Jesus. They're the same thing. Jesuit Order is short for Society of Jesus. But then the other words that are perfect overlap are judge and gavel, the exact same in every cipher. And think about how many rituals Trump's done with those same numbers, because Trump's also 47, 88, 25, the Neil McGill Gorsuch installation, appointing the most federal judges in a single term his first time around, et cetera, et cetera. But like I said, I mean, the ritualism, the numbers, the patterns, the same stuff over and over and over again. Shout out to Kushmano. He says, you have to watch the film Him. There's a scene in the beginning where the main character is texted an invite to a party at address 1717 Masonic Avenue. Yeah, modern Freemasonry since 1717. We covered the Him trailer when it came out after the Super Bowl last year. I still haven't seen the film. I still haven't seen the film that they made in tribute to me earlier this year, too. I still got to see that one. My name should be in the credits. But anyway, yeah, I'll eventually see all these movies. And what somebody also told me who did see Him is that they're showing a sauna temperature rising, and they said when it rises to 201 degrees, it cuts to something really demonic. And I said, oh, go figure. Makes sense too. And shout out to Dale, always with the generosity. Yeah, anyway, that's what I got for now. If you guys have some observations that you want to get in here about weapons, and maybe even the parallels to what happened in Minnesota. Oh, by the way, did you guys see this headline break today? Just in light of rituals by the numbers and dark demonic stuff. Nick Mangold, number 74, dead at 41, exactly 41 weeks into his age. He grew up in Ohio and played for the Jets. Where are the Jets today? Are the Jets playing in Ohio today? I'm pretty sure the Jets are in Cincinnati today. The vice presidents. That's what they did. I get it now. JD Vance is 41 years old. Today is 85 days after J.D. Vance's birthday, like National Football League. He's a Cincinnati Bengals fan. You know, Trump's a New York guy, so New York, Ohio. But yeah, Nick Mangold is dead exactly 41 weeks into his age, at age 41. Today leaves 66 days left in the year. Mangold, 66. That's the 47th composite number, in light of Trump being 47. Ohio being that 47 state where he had his convention back in 2016 in Cleveland, and now he's the new Grover Cleveland, a split-term president who took office at 78. But yeah, okay, it's making more sense to me as I think about it and talk about it out loud. The Jets are playing the Bengals right now, who are up 10-0 on the Jets early. And out of curiosity, I want to see who scored the first after the death of Mangold from Ohio. Justin Fields, who played at Ohio State there. Wacko Flacco's got 60 yards. Start off with a field goal. A Joe Flacco rushing touchdown. He's about to turn... wait a minute. Joe Flacco's about to turn 41 years old. Hold up. Come on. Remember, they just had the Icy Bowl. Yeah, he's going to turn 41 in January. He's in his 41st year of life. Good God. Yeah, but I mean, it's just sick, you guys. I mean, just the way this goes on. And the only thing that's halfway out of the ordinary here is he doesn't have a darker skin complexion, because it usually is a darker guy. Notice where he went to school. Archbishop, Alter High School. Obviously, that's Catholic. So, he played for Ohio State, where J.D. Vance went. Remember, Ohio State won the championship on Inauguration Day this year. And don't forget who had, before the season began, 3 futures in for college football. 1 for Ohio State, 1 for Notre Dame, and 1 for Georgia. We were certain that Notre Dame and Georgia were going to meet up in the college football playoff, and they did. And they had a nice terrorism act for that. After mass shootings followed Georgia's whole season by the numbers, Georgia equals 44 like shooting. The most obvious of which was when they played at Kentucky, and then they said the shooter was Tim Couch. When Tim Couch was an NFL player who played at Kentucky, and they retired Tim Couch's jersey the week after. It's like, for Kentucky, it's just like, wow. Wow. You guys think it's the universe doing this? Please. It's a group of secret society types that know everybody's under their spell and sound asleep. So, yeah, R.I.P. to Nick Mangold as well. Blood magic, too, you guys. A lot of blood. A lot of magic. Yeah, indeed, John Mendoza. He says, people who still can't see, open up that third eye. And Camley says, rapper THF Bezu shot dead today. Really? I do need to wrap up here, but let me see. THF Bezu. I don't know who that is. Chicago rapper. By the way, so just the Chicago thing's jumping out to me with all the everything going on in Chicago. I saw on Fox News, they're saying a symbol of MS-13 are Chicago Bulls hats. I mean, please, you guys. The Photoshop of the MS-13 tattoo onto that, what's his name, Abrego Garcia guy's hands. And again, Trump with the 312 electoral college votes, and then all the deaths that have been connected to Chicago, from Tony Ton to Charlie Kirk. Yeah. I'll have to look into this one later. THF Bezu. Because I do got to wrap it up. Okay, 118 like death and homicide. How about the 46 and 35 in his name? Like, Chicago for one. Chicago 46 and 35. Rap for another. Svengali, the evil hidden hand in the entertainment industry. Of course, sacrifice is 46, like Genesis 46. Homicide's also... Or no, I'm tripping. Homicide's not 46, but you know what? Today does leave 66 days left in the year, and it is probably a homicide. Did it say he was shot? Oh, it didn't say he was shot. It says he's passed away. All right, I got to wrap it up. Otherwise, Mom's going to get mad at me. I got to go help out with the little one. All right, thanks again, you guys. Appreciate everyone who hits the like and the share, and who leaves a comment. If you can do all 3 of those things, we might actually get some views on this channel. It's going to take a lot of people putting in an effort to get this channel back on track, because it hasn't been on track for going on 4 years now. I mean, this is 4 straight years of not getting any views. And then finally we did get views, and then they took down the video for hate speech. But yeah, I mean, this information's got to get out, you guys. It's got to get out there. Till next time, Truth Seeker. Have a good day.